Could the Chicago Bears trade Eddie Jackson before the NFL trade deadline next Tuesday? We'll explore that here on today's episode of Bears Now by Chat Sports. Also, Justin Fields, what is the latest injury status on him, both from the Bears and from an ESPN report? And finally, some more injury news and notes from Halas Hall today as the Bears had their first practice of the week, getting ready for Sunday Night Football against the LA Chargers. Busy show on tap. Before we dive into it, though, hit that like button if you want the Bears to beat the Chargers in prime time. Can Tyson Bagent do it again? If you want the Bears to win a second straight game for the first time in over 2 years, hit that like button. I'm Harrison Graham, and you are watching Chicago Bears Now. Eddie Jackson, could he be on the move in the next week or so? ESPN's Courtney Cronin mentioned him as a name that she's heard in league circles as a potential trade candidate. And look, I think it's a complicated issue because Cronin did mention that she's heard his name come up, but that also the ongoing foot injury that he's been dealing with, which, by the way, we'll take a look at the full injury report later. He was limited today. Makes a trade difficult, obviously, because if a team's going to bring him in, they're going to want a clean bill of health. And can a team for sure know that one way or the other in the next 6 days? We'll see. If he could play Sunday, get through that game, and play well, that would certainly go a long way toward the possibility of that. But you guys see here, as you look at his past 4 seasons, last year had that Lisfranc foot injury to end what was a great season to start, 4 picks in 12 games. This year, he's only played in 3 games, and he left early in 2 of those, one with the initial re-aggravated foot injury, and then he came back and re-aggravated it again. And look, when you combine that with him being a little bit older, his cap hit being fairly high, I don't know what Eddie Jackson would fetch on the open market. I mean, I did a blockbuster trades video yesterday, and I think I had him going for a 6th-round pick. I don't think you're going to get a 3rd or 4th or something like that. Maybe a desperate team gives you a 5th if a contending team suffers a key injury at safety this weekend or something like that. But I think you're looking at a back-end pick, 6th, maybe 7th-round pick, if you try to move Eddie Jackson, because you look at his remaining contract this year, his cap hits over $17 million. Dead cap is $22.6 million, so obviously the Bears can't cut him. But next year, he's a prime cut candidate, which we talked about. If you cut him, you save almost $13 million. So if you're the Bears, even if you only get like a 6th-round pick, you've already been playing most of the season without Eddie anyway. Is that worth it? Because he's a prime cut candidate this offseason anyway. I love Eddie Jackson. He's been a good player for this team for a long time, but he's getting up there. His cap hits major next year. I already don't love his chances of being on this roster in 2024. What say you? Do you think he'll be on the roster next year? Type Y for yes, type in for no. And if the answer is no, maybe trying to trade him makes some sense. Pen comment on today's show: will Eddie Jackson be on the Bears roster in 2024? Let's get to the latest on quarterback Justin Fields. Matt Eberflus said today, or reiterated today, that Fields remains week to week, but he did say he is progressing, but didn't offer specifics there other than he still continues to rehab and work with the doctors. Hasn't offered a specific timeline other than he's in week-to-week mode, so who knows what that means. However, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that Justin Fields is pushing to return next week. Here's what Fowler had to say. While Justin Fields remains doubtful for Sunday against the Chargers, the Bears quarterback is determined to get back as early as week 9, according to people with the team. Quote from a source: he's definitely working toward that. Fields' availability hinges on his ability to grip and throw a football, which could take time. That is something Flus has talked about. But he's been diligent in his rehab and game prep and hopes to avoid IR. And you would hope he will avoid IR, because if they were to put him on IR, then you wasted a week because you didn't put him on IR last week when he didn't play. So coming up, will Fields play next week? I give my opinion. I get my thoughts and go through a couple of scenarios that could come into play here. But first, let's talk about today's sponsor, Rocket Money. And guys, the Rocket Money app is the best app out there if you're looking to save money on a daily basis, a monthly basis. Did you know that over 5 million users use Rocket Money, and they're saving an average of over $700 per year? That is correct, $700 per year. Rocket Money is the best personal finance app on the open market. It shows you all of your subscriptions in one place and how much you're spending per month on each of those subscriptions. Do you want to keep paying whatever Netflix is charging these days? Do you want to have Prime Video. Maybe you signed up for a streaming service for a show your friend recommended, watched it, completely forgot about it, and you're paying like 15, 20 bucks per month. Lower your spending with Rocket Money. They can do other cool things on the app as well. You can set budgets, and they'll send you notifications when you reach those budgets on a month-to-month basis. You can also lower your bills by up to 20%. Send Rocket Money a picture of your bill. They will send you suggested counter offers from other companies, and you might save money there as well. Again, you can save over $700 per year if you get started with Rocket Money. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Use our link to download the app today. I use this app on a daily basis. Me and my wife are on a budget, so you gotta stay on top of these things. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Save money, stop spending money with Rocket Money. Okay, back to the Fields discussion. I can promise you this. I can see the scenarios playing out already. If Tyson Bagent plays well, especially if he beats the Chargers, Justin Fields is going to do everything he can to play the Saints next week, because it's already going to be a controversy among the fan base. I mean, it already is for some people. I mean, you imagine if you fly across the country in Bagent on Sunday Night Football, you got sliding in Chris Collinsworth. Look at this Bagent guy, Mike. I mean, he's slinging it. He's doing this. He's doing that. Imagine if he throws for 250, a couple of touchdowns, and upsets the Chargers. You don't think it's going to be a discussion? We're going to be talking about it. I can promise you that. So if you're Justin Fields, and if that happens, you got to be pushing to get back on the field. I think he's doing that anyway because he's just such a great competitor. But these are key moments. These are key times for Fields and for the Bears and figuring out what their future looks like. Because think of this too: you beat the Chargers, you're back to 3-5. I mean, I'm not saying the season's back on, but you're not dead. I mean, the NFC is wide open right now. The 7th seed is 3-3. You have 2 wins. So in the win column, you're only a game back for that final playoff spot. So if you can beat the Chargers, then you got the trade deadline on Tuesday. What do the Bears do, especially if they do beat the Chargers? That's interesting. Then you got the Saints. It's on the road. Won't be easy, but it's not like they're lighting it up right now. Panthers at home. That's a game you definitely should win. You got these 3 games. I mean, 4-6, 5-5 is not completely off the table if you can beat the Chargers. And then, at Detroit, you're not going to be favored there. But if you have some momentum, who knows, right? So, again, if you're Justin Fields, if the Bagent hype starts kicking into gear, and if he plays well again, you bet your ass he's going to be pushing to play next week. I know I would be, because the conversations can shift very, very quickly, especially in this town. Hypothetical question. I want to hear from you guys. If Tyson Bagent beats the Chargers, and if he plays well, like if he plays garbage and they win like 13-10, I don't think that applies. But if he plays at least fairly well and they beat the Chargers, and Fields is cleared to play next week, who starts? Type TB for Tyson Bagent, JF for Justin Fields. I mean, logic would still say Fields because this season is about finding out if he's the guy long-term or not. But you also haven't won 2 games in a row in over 2 years. If Bagent does that, I don't think it's an easy call. So I want you guys to make it for me. TB for Bagent, JF for Fields. Again, only in the scenario where obviously the Bears win this game. And we're going to be here for all of it. I can promise you that. We're going to go live at 6 o'clock on Sunday night. Kickoff, 7:15, 7:20, whatever it is. Don't listen to Collinsworth and the boys. Throw the TV on at your home, mute it, and then tune in to myself and Rolly. We'll have full coverage of this one. Should be a fun game. And I like the Chargers lighting it up right now. Bears defense is playing better, so should be a fun game. Subscribe, join us for that. And, of course, we'll have plenty of other videos leading up to kickoff between now and then. Okay, let's talk more on the injury front. Obviously, Justin Fields did not practice today. Neither did Nate Davis. He's already been ruled out this week as he's been dealing with that high ankle sprain. They didn't put him on an IR last week, so I think they might think that he might only miss 2 or 3 games and not 4+, which would lead to an IR stint. Darnell Wright did not practice. He's fighting through a shoulder thing. He played last week. I think he might be in that mode right now where he's not going to practice much, but he's going to, gut it out on Sundays. You need him out there. Jaquan Brisker, he's dealing with an illness, should be okay, though. Terrell Smith has mono. He's probably going to miss another week. He's missed the last 2. Guys who are limited, Braxton Jones. Talk more about him in a second. Dan Feeney, who's dealing with a knee issue. He was limited, did not play this past week. Hopefully he's back out there in full capacity soon. Eddie Jackson, again, especially if you're looking to flip him, you'd really like to see him play this week and put some good tape out there. Full participants, Roshan Johnson, Khalid Kareem with a hip issue, asterisk next to him, and Braxton Jones because their practice windows were open today, which means they are eligible to return from IR. I'm not as focused as Kareem as I am Braxton Jones, because Braxton Jones is a key player on this offensive line. Like, Larry Borum's done a serviceable job at left tackle, but you're going up against Khalil Mack, against Joey Bosa. Darnell Wright's banged up at right tackle. If you could get Braxton Jones back at left tackle this week, that would be huge. He was limited today, so we'll see. I think it's probably 50-50 for this week, but hopefully he's back out there soon. And Roschon Johnson as well. Could he be returning on Sunday? Now, I don't know the specifics of the concussion protocol, but Flu said earlier today that he still has one final step to clear in the concussion protocol thresholds, if you will. Did practice in full, so that's a good sign. The final threshold might be, hey, he goes through a practice, and then you run a test after the practice, and if he clears it again, then you're good. So, again, I don't know the specific language of that off the top of my head, but I think we're trending toward him playing on Sunday, so hopefully that is the case. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Now. We'll be back in the morning with another episode, and then, of course, our Thursday live show at 4 o'clock Central Time. So subscribe, turn on the notification. Lots of good content to come. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.